G'day and welcome to Talking Settlers Gain. This is a show I've been looking forward to talking about for some time now, and I have a cracking guest straight out of Russia. He has brought the vodka to Hish. It is Philipp. You might remember him from the community spotlight in Russia. We're talking about Moscow and talking about trekking through the snow, trying to get to a tournament, fighting off those bears of Kislev. But Philipp is an excellent Warhammer player. I know he's been playing with cities, he's been playing with Lumineth, and I thought if there was any crazy person that could bring cities, Lumineth, Stormcast, and then the allies, it was this man here. Welcome.
Hello, Anthony. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here again. Thank you for this opportunity.
We were going to talk, we were talking just before the show started that we were meant to do a Demigryph Night focus show. It never happened, but I'm really excited to have you back here on the channel, especially to talk lists, because you have had a lot of success both in real life as well as on Tabletop Simulator. And I know you've been playing around with Settlers Gain a little bit and getting, you've been playing around with it, recently. So, because it's such a hard, it's hard, and I say it's hard, guys, for anyone who's listening to this going, what is he on about? What's Coach on about? You need to remember, Cities of Sigmar is a really big book. It has like 60 unit choices. Stormcast Eternals has like 60 unit choices. Lumineth Realm Lords has literally doubled in size in the last 12 months. There's probably a good 30 maybe choices, And when you add that all together, the synergies, the combinations, the list tech can be exciting, but also really challenging. So that's why I'm really curious to unpack to see where you're thinking about this. But Philipp, before we kind of get into all of this, do you want to give a quick introduction? For people who don't know you or haven't seen the community spotlight on Russia, what's your story?
I have quite simple story. I think I really love Age of Sigmar. I love to play and I love to write lists. So I play a competitive AOS in Russia and some international tournaments, and I am member of Russian national team.
That's impressive. It's impressive. So we got someone here who's going to really navigate these crazy waters. What drew you to Settlers Gain? Like, why not go straight? Maybe a better question is like, what is Settlers Gain? And what drew you to Settlers Gain compared to going all in on cities or all in on Lumineth? Because that's an option.
First of all, I love to play older cities, and also I love to. I play Lumineth, and I have some tournaments with Lumineth, and I love both these armies. And I think the main reason for me is to do some experiments with the Settlers Gain is these list building opportunities. I agree with you that there are a lot of options. If you choose these cities, you have cities, you have Stormcast Eternals, you have Lumineth, you have all these allies. So, and that's why you have a lot of options, and so list building is one of the most inspiring things for me in AOS. I think it's the one of the best choices for such journey.
And we say it's challenging. If you haven't picked up Settlers Gain, it comes from Broken Realms Teclis, so the second book in the Broken Realms series, and it did introduce one city. So your Cities of Sigmar Battle Tome is set in the realm of Gairan or Akshi. This is set in the realm of Hish, so in the realm of light. And basically, and I'll bring up the rules in a second, and we'll talk a bit more about what it brings to the table. But what is really exciting for me, Philipp, was that in Broken Realms Marathi, they introduced 2 new cities. And the big problem for me was it didn't bring in the Cities of Sigmar rules, like the Empowered Endless Spells, like the Honored Retinue, like the Storm Keeps. And it was very isolated, and it felt like a big trade-off when I went Harkuron or Misthaven. There was a lot that I was sacrificing. But with this, they learnt that lesson and went, I can keep all the good stuff from cities, and I get this extra stuff. So for me, I was excited.
Yeah. It's also very exciting for me. Yeah.
All right, well, let's contain our excitement and let's bring it together. And maybe for anyone who hasn't picked up Broken Realms Teclis, we can talk a little bit about it. So on the right, you're going to see some of the things that you might already remember from Cities of Sigmar. You get Amplified Sorcery, so it allows you when you cast an Endless spell, and on the Endless spell it says empowered by and the realm that it's from. And when an Endless spell is empowered by the realms, it's just better. So Emerald Life Swarm, instead of healing D3, it heals D6. Geminids, you can re-roll the damage roll. Umbral Spell Portal, you can put the other Endless spell anywhere on the table. So it makes Endless spells better. You have the Honored Retinue, so it allows you, if you have a general with 6 wounds or less, they can have a bodyguard of troops up to 20 wounds, and if they've got like a little, I guess I call it a 2IC or a Wise Counsel. If it's next to that Wise Counsel model, you can generate an extra command point with a 4+. It also allows you to take 1 in every 4 units to be Stormcast Eternals. They gain the Cities of Sigmar keyword, so it's not an ally, and it does allow you to have some really crazy synergies, whether it's bringing in a Knight of Zeros, you bring in a Lord Ordinator. There's so many different choices you can bring. The Celestant Prime. There's a lot of cool models you can bring in, and because they gain the Cities keyword, they just become even better. So if you're a Cities of Sigmar player, you keep that. Everything in Cities, you keep. But Philipp, we get some extra things. A couple of things we're going to get, and I'd love your thoughts and your opinions on this, is when you choose Settlers Gain, first off, they gain the Settlers Gain keyword. So instead of going Hammerhall, Hallowheart, Tempest Eye, whatever it might be, you are set in the realm of Hysh, and you are Settlers Gain. Initial thoughts on that?
I don't think that Hysh is very important here because, yeah, from narrative point of view, of course, it's true that this city is from Hysh, but you can't say that you have really powerful artifacts here, for example. So I don't think it's very important. But yeah, you may use this sword from Hysh.
That may change in the future if a second version of Malign Sorcery comes and we get more artifacts. But right now, in current General's Handbook 2020, Hysh artifact, move along. That's not that important right now. You're going to get yourself what's called the Warriors of the High Districts. So you can choose 1 extra Settlers Gain Free Guild hero or Settlers Gain Collegiate Arcane hero to have an artifact of power. In addition, you get +1 to the casting roll for your Collegiate Arcane wizards. So your free guild heroes are going to be not your Dwarden, it's not going to be your elves, it's going to be your free guild general and griffin, your free guild general. That's your free guild heroes. And then your Collegiate Arcane is your Hurricanum, your Luminarch, and your Battle Mage. Philipp, thoughts on Warriors of the High Districts?
So there are basically 2 rules. Yeah, first about artifacts, and second about +1 to cast. So the first isn't too strong because so first it's very restrictive. So you can't give an artifact to other cities or even Lumineth's units, heroes. And the second, these artifacts are not too strong. We will discuss them, yeah. But they are, some of them are okay, yeah. We can't say that it's super powerful artifacts. But the second rule, yeah, I'm a big fan of this rule because I think we all agree that Celestial Hurricanum is a great unit. Yeah, it's a great piece of utility, and this rule it makes him even better. Yeah, so basically, if you have Celestial Hurricanum, you have +2 to cast now. Yeah, it's very consistent casting. Yeah, and you can give him. You can use artifact to give him the second cast each turn. So 2 casts with +2 without any other problems like comment abilities in Heryford and so on. Yeah, it's very powerful. So yeah, it's cool. And even small battle mages, yeah, even without Hurricanum, they have +1. Yeah, and you have some good spells with casting value of 5. Yeah, protection of fish, for example, or wild form from Gur, and now you can cast them very, very consistently. Yeah, it's a great rule.
The Battle Mage on foot, yeah, the Battle Mage on foot is really helpful because it has up to 8 different spells, so you can choose one of the realms. So despite being from Hish, your Battle Mage can become from Gur, from Gairan, from Shaiish, whatever, right? And those spells are very low casting, which is really cool. Getting +1 is going to be great. Hurricanums also give +1 to cast for your Collegiate Arcane. So all of a sudden, you could be getting +2 to your cast through this little combination. So it is incentivizing you to go down the Collegiate Arcane route. It's not going to help you with your Sorceress on foot. So your Sorceress being a Darkling Coven, that doesn't have Collegiate Arcane. So it is really focusing you down the human route. The human route. Just keep that in mind. You also get your Lumineth tutors, so you can choose one extra. I think I've doubled that one up. You also get your Elven training. I'll bring up. Where's my tutors? Where's my tutor? Oh, I've doubled that one up. You've also got your 1 in 4. That's what it's meant to be there. So that's a copy and paste error. 1 in every 4 of your units can be Lumineth Realm Lords. They're not allies, so you're not restricted to models under 400 points. So it can bring in Teclis. You can bring a big block of units. You're not restricted in the points cap per se, but it does mean that 1 in every 4 can be Lumineth, 1 in 4 can be Stormcast. And then, everything else has to be Cities of Sigmar. How important is that allies for you? Or allies. And your ally pool is Daughters of Cain, Fire Slayers, Deepkin, Caradron Overlords, Sylvaneth. So basically almost like everyone who's not Seraphon. Like that's a massive pool of models.
Yeah, you're right. So I think it's the most important rule for this city because actually, in this city, you have no other great rules or great artifacts. So that's why the main idea of this city, I think, is to find synergies between Cities of Sigmar and maybe Stormcasts and Lumineth Realm Lords. So it's the only opportunities to bring these armies together, yeah? Because Lumineth can't have any allies only IDK, yeah. So and other cities can't take Lumineth also. So yeah, it's the only opportunity and it's the only power thing for this city. But if you can find some crazy synergies, some crazy interactions between cities buffs, for example, and Lumineth's armies, so you can create something interesting. Yeah.
And we're going to obviously go through a couple of lists to kind of demonstrate this. But, there are some things that we haven't even spoken about in our lists. Things like the Alapex Shark, or get yourself some offensive or defensive eels. You could look into Daughters of Cain and get yourself Like there's so many unit choices. I'm not going to spoil what might be in any of our lists, but all of a sudden, like the opportunities are so large, when it comes to just building this particular list to, if you want to build shooting, you want to build combat, you want to build magic, you've got so many options, which is going to be really cool, but also it could be a bit analysis paralysis, which is why we're talking about this. The last rule, and by the way, we don't get a terrain piece. So I know Lumineth has their shrine. Cities has no terrain piece. You do not get the shrine. So no terrain piece for Settlers Gain. The other one, which is kind of incentivizing you to go down, again, the human route, is the command ability with Elven training. So if you use the command ability at the start of the Battle Shock phase, if you do so, pick one friendly Lumineth Realm Lords hero. You don't take Battle Shock for friendly Settlers Gain, Free Guild, or Collegiate Arcane units. That second part is useless. Like, no collegiate. There is no collegiate arcane units. They're all heroes, or behemoths. Like, just like throw that in the window. That's rubbish. But the free guild, your free guild guard, your great swords, your handgunners, your demigriffs, your crossbowmen. They're all your troops. So if you take any of those, you can basically get a battle shock immunity within 18 inches off the back of a Lumineth Realm Lord hero.
Yeah,
Philippe, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's a good example of abilities of this city, I believe. So we can see that this ability is weaker than in Heryford, for example, or Tempest Eye, because in these two cities you can get battle shock immunity for free for a trait or artifact without spending common points. Yeah, and for whole your army. Yeah, not only particular types of units. And then you have here you have to spend CP, and you can it must be Lumineth Realm Lord's unit, a hero, and it must be free guild units. Yeah, so it's very, very restrictive, but in some cases it may be useful. So for example, if you have a lot of free guild units, and if you have so big base hero like Teclis, yeah, you can create massive bubble of battle shock immunity, and in some cases it may be useful, but it's quite situational.
Yeah, and for someone like me who, so I don't play with a lot of Dispossessed. I don't play a lot of the like Phoenix Guard and the other Elven type models. I'm very much a free guild player. So for me, when I looked at these lists, I got really excited because, it is really incentivizing the synergy between Lumineth and free guilds, or Collegiate Arcane as well. In addition to this, and we're not going to talk about it because it's not in one of Philip's lists, but I'm happy to chat about it now, is that there is a battalion that is focused around the Luminarch. So you got to take a Luminarch, you take a Hurricanum, and you take a Battle Mage. The Luminarch doesn't have a hero on top, but basically your Luminarch gives you like a 6-inch bubble of like damage prevention. It will bring it down to a 5. So what's really cool about that is you could get a really resilient block of free guilds off the back of the Luminarch.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. There are both advantages and disadvantages of this battalion, but yeah, one of the important advantages, of course, you have some more resilience for your free guild units. So, for example, if we compare, Phoenix Guards and Great Swords, yeah. Great swords also have great impact. Yeah, they can produce a lot of damage, but they have no aftersave. Yeah, but they are cheaper. Yeah, so if you have this battalion, you can bring a block of great swords, and they will have their 5-up DPA from this battalion, and also they have produced some really, really good damage. Yeah, so you have some opportunities here, of course.
And the challenge that I have as a Cities of Sigmar player is that when you have great swords and you have Phoenix Guard, the points difference between the two units is like 10 to 20 points. It's nothing. And Phoenix Guard have a 4-up damage prevention with them. They don't do as much damage as what a greatsword can do, because a greatsword can do mortal wounds on a hit or a wound roll of 6. But the resilience of a Phoenix Guard is just second to none. It is like having Hearthguard Berserkers and more in your army. But for me, what the battalion does is it allows me to bring out my great swords and have them as resilient or close to resilient as a block of Phoenix Guard, but do more damage. So I haven't run a lot of great swords in my cities list in the past. In Settlers Gain, I'm actually really incentivized. Or my Free Gold Guard, which are like 80 points for 10, I can get an additional 5-up damage prevention on top, which is a really cheap screen, but really durable with that 5-up. So it means that I don't have to bring my Phoenix Guard if I don't want to. It does bring some variety to the free guilds.
Yeah,
but it is expensive. It is expensive.
You're right. And I think other great opportunity with this 5-up bubble, you can take 20 Sentinels and place them in this bubble. It's easy to fit, yeah? And so these Sentinels plus Luminar of Hish, they both provide mortal wounds with very, very big range, yeah? So this combination, it's quite resilient because of this 5-up, and you have some long-range mortal wounds damage, and it may be really helpful.
Yeah, so it does give you good options. I only call this out because it's not in the 2 lists we're going to talk about, and we don't know what battalion's going to look like in AOS 3. So they may become narrative only. They may continue to be the same. Who knows? I know we were talking offline, and I felt this, even in all of my list building, was that to get the Battle Mage on foot, the Hurricanum, and the Luminarch without the hero with the battalion, it's quite expensive. So if you are going to go down that route, this is where like the cheap bodies of Free Guild Guard become even more powerful, because if you start bringing in more expensive units, you run out of points really quickly.
Yeah, you're right. And having these 2 mages, it may be cool if you have great spells, yeah, but in this city, you have no really powerful spells like in Fellow Heart, for example. Yeah, that's why I'm not sure that I want to invest a lot of points into this battalion.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge, is that you get your empowered endless spells, which is great, but it's not, the magic power is not as powerful as Hollow Heart, but you have the ability to bring in Teclis and the Cathalar and some of the other units, which makes it probably more of a utility army, and it has multiple threats. Because like I know when I played Hollow Heart, I was really a one-trick pony. I cast spells. I was a defensive castle. That's all I did. But you start bringing in a Law Seeker, Sentinels, Wardens, Dawn Riders, the Twins. You bring in, there's so much opportunity there in addition to cities, and you are a true Swiss Army knife. Or you can take the best of cities and the best of Lumineth and build some really powerful combos.
Yeah, I think so. And this consistency, which brings Teclis, it's great for cities, because I think as you Hollow Heart player, you know how it may be painful if you roll double 1 for very important spell. Yeah, even with all these bonuses. So, and it can ruin all your game plan. Yeah, and with Teclis you can't fail.
Yeah. Even as a Hollow Heart player, I did fail spells and some critical spells. And by the way, I should mention that as a Settlers Gain player, you also get 3 artifacts to choose from. You get you get 3 command traits to choose from. You get 6 artifacts to choose from, and there are 3 spell laws. So Hollow Heart's great because it has 6 spells to choose from. This only having 3 kind of kind of reinforces what you said before, Philipp, that you probably don't want to spend too many points in wizardry because it's not nearly as powerful as Lumineth Allegiance or even Hallowheart Allegiance.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Well, I'm not a writer. It's like you're very good for the ego. You tell me I'm always right. You're always welcome back on this channel. I'm right.
Okay, that's
All
my
right.
strategy. Yeah.
All right. So, let's talk about your first list. And, for anyone who's new to the channel, this is not about having the one and only internet list that's going to rule them all. This is about taking the list ideas and the rules that we've been given and putting it into practice. If you like your Dispossessed, if you like your Phoenix Guard, if you're a big fan of your Dark Elves and, you want to get a Black Lord, a Dreadlord on Black Dragon, I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just an example of putting the rules into practice. So what have we got here, Philipp? We have, we're obviously stuck to Settlers Gain, and we're obviously stuck to Hish. Your leader choices are Teclis, a Free Guild General, which is going to be which is going to be your general. I was getting caught up, like Free Guild General, which is the general, and you've got the Sayar Trueblade, and it is the Honored Retinue. You've also got the Law Seeker. Now, anyone who watched the shows that I did with Hayden and Jordan on Lumineth will know about the Law Seeker. But we'll talk a bit about the Law Seeker and what the Law Seeker brings to this list. You've got yourself 30 crossbowmen, all with the Free Guild keyword. So some good list tech there. You've got yourself 10 Free Guild Guard with sword and shield, and they are the Honored Retinue. So they're going to give a nice little boost in combination with that Free Guild General. You've also got yourself 2 units of 9 Cainite Shadow Stalkers. So these are allies. They're coming out of Daughters of Cain. I've forgotten to put in little ally section there. And you've also got yourself an extra command point and the Soul Screen Bridge. So coming in, this is cool. This is different. This is not what I would have expected as the first list. So talk to me through your logic. Talk me through the rules that you're building around. Let's start talking about some of the choices you've made.
Okay, I think, let's start with the main idea of this list. The main idea is with Teclis and with Bridge, you can you can be sure that you will cast this bridge. Yeah, if Teclis is on the battlefield, nobody can stop you. Yeah, so you can just say that you will cast only one spell with Teclis, and you can auto-cast this bridge. So even Seraphons can't stop you. Yeah.
So just pause for a second. Let's assume that no one has seen the Teclis War Scroll.
Okay.
So when someone says that no one can stop you, what do you mean by that?
So Teclis has a lot of great abilities, but the first of all, he at the start of the hero phase, he can say if he will cast 4 spells, 2 spells, or just 1 spell. So if he casts 4 spells, he casts them on a 10, without rolling dice. So you can just say that the spell goes off on a 10. So then if you cast 2 spells, you can cast them on a 12 also, without any dice rolls. And if you cast 1 spell, so you have auto-cast and nobody can unbind you. So even Night Encounter, even Croak with +4 to unbind and stuff like this, they can't stop you.
So you don't roll a dice roll. For anyone who's cast a spell in the past, you normally roll 2d6. With Teclis, you don't do that. So if I roll 2 spells, 3 spells, or 4 spells, it's a flat cast of 12 or a flat cast of 10. My opponent can still attempt to cast, so to unbind, but it's very hard. At a 12 or a 10, it's hard. But when you cast 1 spell, so Teclis forfeits the 3 other spells, it's an auto cast, can't do anything about it. So if there's that really important spell you need to go off, Teclis is just straight through the gates.
Yeah. So then you have, because you're in the Cities of Sigmar, you have empowered spells. So your bridge have 24-inch range for the next part of the bridge. And then in this list, you have 60 Free Guild crossbowmen. They also have range 24, yeah? And you have Free Guild General to buff them. So what does it mean? So if you can hit enemy everywhere on the battlefield with these ranges. So it's very, very difficult, and on some missions it's impossible to hide from your shooting. Yeah. So it's the main idea of this list, and I think it's a good example of what Settlers Gain does. Yeah, because you have Teclis from Lumineth, yeah, and you have empowered spells and crossbowmen from cities, yeah. And if we look at these books separate, so Teclis, Lumineth, they have no empowered spells and they have no such massive shooting, yeah. So the 60 crossbowmen, so it's 122 shots, yeah. So Lumineth, they have some quality shooting, yeah, definitely, but they have no such massive shooting, yeah.
They don't have the volume. They don't have the volume. So yeah. Lumineth shooting is known to be really good at taking out heroes. They do mortal wounds on a 6, and normally you roll enough dice that can probably take down a 5 or a 6 wound hero. It's not going to delete a unit, but it's good for taking out those support heroes.
Yeah, and if you need some, for example, 50 wounds into 6-up save, you can't do it with Lumineth, yeah, but you can definitely do it with this list. Yeah, from the so you can achieve this synergy only in this army. So that's why I think it's it may work. And I have some tests with this list.
Just to go back a step, because for people who don't know the combination here, so I just want to really plan it out for everybody. Teclis auto casts the bridge. Now, outside of Cities of Sigmar, what happens is you set up one of the bridge model. It's 2 models. You set up one bridge that has to be, I think, within 6 inches or 9 inches of the wizard, right? The wizard casts it. It has to be within 6 or 12 or whatever it is. Normally, then the second bridge is wholly within 12 inches of that first bridge. And then what happens is you teleport a unit that is within 6 inches of the first bridge and deploy it within 6 inches of the second bridge. So you can move probably, 18, 20 odd inches. When it's in Cities of Sigmar, the gap between bridge 1 and bridge 2 is 24 inches. So all of a sudden, you're able to pick up, and you're not just teleporting one unit. You can teleport anything that's wholly within 6 inches of that spell port, of the bridge. So if you need that Free Guild General, and this is where, like in other Cities of Sigmar armies, you usually take like the Iron Drakes with the Warden King and maybe a Rune Lord. They all kind of like come together in a single bubble, and then one of the cool rules that the Free Guild crossbowmen, I can't remember if they still got it, how it works, but often when you set up a model with the teleport, it doesn't count as a move. So it counts as a setup. So sometimes units will give you an ability like you get +1 attack or +1 damage or +1 to hit if it doesn't move. And technically when you use bridge, it's a setup, not a move. So you gain the ability. This is where Iron Drakes become really powerful. But in this case, your Free Guild crossbowman, especially with the Free Guild General, which gives you +1 to hit and +1 to wound from its command ability, really brings down and just like they're just like, and that's where I think it was Learn Trade Play said it can be like so many attacks and hitting on really good numbers.
Yeah. Of course, they have no rend, right? But if you have lots of dice, so you can do some damage, even they have good save.
Yeah, and just to answer Autumn's question, Autumn asked, and it's a really good question. It was a conversation we had before we went online. Is does Teclis know the spell lore of Settler's Gain? The answer is no. Also, Teclis doesn't know the Lumineth spell lore. So when he is in Lumineth Realm Lords, he gets to know all the spell lore. Outside of it, no. So he doesn't bring in the Lumineth spell lore into cities. It's only when Teclis is within Lumineth. So just to add some additional confusion. But again, getting guaranteed casts or casting on 12 or casting on 10, you've got so much consistency in the magic that 660 is a pretty fair trade-off.
Yeah. And I think if we start to speak about Teclis, we can add what else he brings to this list. I think Breach is not enough. Yeah, he also can cast his own War Scroll spell, which is Protection of Teclis, and it's 5 up after save. Yeah, 5 up DPA, and wholly within 18 of Teclis. And Teclis has really big base, so you have really huge bubble of damage prevention, and so your army is much more resilient. And this, so when you use battalion with Luminar, you have quite small bubble, and here you have great bubble, and there is no degradation of this bubble.
And additionally, if what Philip taught me before we went on stream, because I didn't realize this combination existed, is that normally with something like Protection of Teclis, it would be keyworded to Lumineth Realm Lords. But you actually look at the spell, it's just friendly units. So all of a sudden, because he's in Cities of Sigmar and it's not keyword dependent, everything is friendly. And I thought that was a really good pickup. That was a really good pickup.
Yeah, the next important thing, so we have already discussed this city commentability. Yeah, you can, for one CP, you can give battle shock immunity to whole free guild units in your army. So in this army, you have some free guild units. So, and you have this big bubble of battle shock immunity. So, and you have additional CP for it, just in case. So it also may help you. And I think the third very important thing of Teclis is Protection of Selenar. This aura is also works for all friendly units. So, and this aura is basically 4-up prevention against enemy spells or endless spells. And the most important thing that you not just when enemy pick your unit for some bad spell, you can just roll dice. On 4-up, you can ignore this spell, and also you can give D3 damage to enemy unit within 18 of your unit. So, and in some cases, it may be very dangerous to attack your army using magic. So I tested this army against lizards, and so after one successful hero phase, Slan was nearly dead because of these D3 mortals into him. Yeah, so it's very, very important ability of Teclis, and yeah, it also works here really well.
The big call out here before we move into the Lore Seeker is that the keywords we're talking about here and why Teclis works, and I know for some people you might not be thinking about Teclis in your list, But the cool thing is, from Teclis' point of view, is it's not keyworded to Lumineth. So, you know, if you really want to make the most of the combination between City, Stormcast, and Lumineth, look for the things that affect order, look for the things that affect friendly, not necessarily specifics to keywords, because that will just restrict your options. So Teclis is a really good choice here, and I can see how the combination really works quite well. But the Law Seeker, and to the question of learn trade play, can you be your own adjutant? No, you've got to pick someone else. You can't be an adjutant yourself. And this is where the Law Seeker or another hero, I know in my armies I'll pick like a battle mage on foot or something, can be generating additional command points if you're within 6 of your general.
Yeah, and before we go to the Lore Seeker, I think the last thing about Teclis, you still can cast your Searing White Light. Yeah, you still can provide some mortal wounds for each enemy unit within 18. Yeah, and if we discuss some options, yeah, because there is just example of the list. Yeah, you can just choose Umbral spell portals in this city, and because it's empowered spell portals, you can put them anywhere on the battlefield, and so nobody can avoid Teclis's spell in this case.
And by the way, I just want to clarify that I made the mistake here. We have the Free Guild General and the Law Seeker both being adjutants. That's just a mistake. So that's just a mistake. That's a mistake on us, guys. That's
it's just misprint. Yeah, of course. Free Guild General is general, not adjutant.
And the Law Seeker is the adjutant. So the Free Guild General is good. It's like it's just 5 wound generic hero. Gives you +1 to hit, +1 to wound command ability for 3 Free Guild units, and it's nothing special. It's like a 100-point hero. But I guess the benefit is 1, he's going to be able to do the adjutant role. 2, he's going to be able to really supercharge those crossbowmen. And you can bring those Free Guild Guard, and then if you try to do a wound or a mortal wound to the Free Guild General, on a 4+, you can palm that wound or mortal wound off to the 10 Free Guild Guard, so long as they're within 3 or 5 or 6 inches of it.
Yeah, I think we, instead of this city roll for Free Guild General, we can say that it must be common trait here. So, and basically he, as a general, he has common trait, which also gives him another 1 4-up roll for additional common points. So he's strategic mastermind. So yeah, so that's why you have two sources for additional common points here.
Yeah, and you're obviously wanting that for the +1 to hit, +1 to wound, the battle shock immunity. Talk to me about this Law Seeker, because people may not have watched my Lumineth shows, and they've probably heard the internet talking about the Law Seeker and how powerful a Law Seeker is. What is the Law Seeker bringing to your army, and why is it one of your Lumineth choices?
Right. Law Seeker is also unique hero, which has really unique abilities, and they are in his war scroll. So you can take him outside Lumineth Lord's book, and he still will be very, very useful. So I think his main ability is Lone Agent. Yeah, you first of all, you can add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target this model if it's more than 9 from any friendly models. So
it's not bad.
It's not bad. He's 4-up with this +1 to save. It will be 3-up, and then if he is in cover, it will be 2-up. So yeah, it's quite tanky hero. But the most important, in addition, instead of setting up this model on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it's set up as a lone agent reserve unit. If you do so at the start of the first battle round, before determining who has the first turn, you must set up this model on the battlefield anywhere that is more than 3 inches from an enemy unit. Just 3 inches, yeah? Not 9, just 3 inches, yeah? It's very, very close. from any, not in your territory. If you set up this model within 6 of an objective that has no enemy units within 6 of it, you gain control of that objective, and your opponent can't gain control of it while this model is within 6 of it. Yeah, so he can't gain control before he kills your Lord Seeker. Yeah, and it's on some missions it's very, very powerful ability, and you can use him. So there are, I think there are 3 main reasons to use a Lord Seeker here. On some missions, yeah, you can use this lone agent. You can put him in cover near some objective. He will have 2-up DPA. Maybe he will in aura of protection of Teclis, so it will be 2-up with 5-up after save. It's the first. Yeah. The second, you can use this unit just like a screen to help to screen your Teclis or your free guild units before combat starts. Yeah. And in some matchups, it may be very useful. So finally, if you have no reason to do it, you can just place him near your leader and just farm some common points using him as a adjutant.
Yeah, you don't have to. If your hero is the adjutant, you don't have to keep them within 6 inches of the hero. It's just if you are within that range, you get the ability. So
Within 3,
it does. Yeah, it's within 3. Sorry, not within 6. So the benefit of the Lore Seeker is going to be the fact that you can play it offensive or defensive. If there's an objective, let's say, for example, focal points where there's an objective in the middle of the table, you could drop this hero immediately on the objective, and the only way that your opponent can score the objective is if they kill the Lore Seeker. So you're going to force your opponent to focus on this hero as opposed to maybe Teclis or something else that's important. Alternatively, if there are certain objectives on the side, or if there are maybe someone hasn't screened properly, you could be super aggressive and put this Lore Seeker within 3 inches. A prime example is the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Their catapult can't shoot if there's a model within 6 inches of it. So if you find a space and you can get within 6 inches because you can deploy within 3, you could stop their catapult from shooting. So there's little nuances like that gives you this ultimate utility of either being offensive, defensive, scoring an objective, or denying your opponent from scoring an objective because they can't claim the objective while the Lore Seeker is within 6. A Mega Gargant could be in range of the objective, but the Lore Seeker got there first. I don't score until I kill the hero.
Yeah, and also you can tag enemy units in enemy deployment. Yeah, so to distract him. And at the end of the day, he has quite good for small foot hero. Yeah, hero on foot. He has quite good profile. Yeah, he can shoot, he can fight, and yeah, he can do some.
Ren 2 hits on 3s or hits on 2s, 4 attacks, 2 attacks. If it kills a model, it's a wizard as well, so it has a spell, so you could be a 2-up. If you were in cover, it's a 2-up armor save, and then you could put Mystic Shield on as well, so now you're re-rolling 1. So,
choice. Yeah,
6 wounds as well. It's a pretty tanky model, and if nothing more, you're focusing your opponent to kill the Lore Seeker, where that damage could be going into your crossbowman or into reducing the effectiveness of Teclis. So,
yep.
K-Knight Shadows. We've already talked. We talked about the crossbowmen. They just they're there to do damage. The Free Guild Guard. They're mostly there for retaining objectives and for being the honored retinue.
They don't add a lot. They don't add a lot for generals. Yep.
Yeah. They don't add a lot to the table. The Sword and Shield gives you +1 to your save. You can get spears that have a 2-inch range. I don't like spears. Halberd has rend 1, but I would rather the +1 armor save as opposed to like rend 1. They're not there to do damage. But you've got Canine Shadowstalkers. You brought them in from Daughters of Cain. They're super cheap. For 100 points, they are incredibly cheap. But you're not taking them for cheap bodies. You're taking them for something else.
Yeah, definitely. Because in such lists, when you have some Death Star, with Free Guild Crossbowmen on the bridge, you need some independent sources to board control, to steal objectives, to screen. And Shadow Stalkers are great units. Yeah, they can for such utility. Yeah, they can teleport each turn instead of movement. So you can place them anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 from enemy unit. And they have -1 to hit in combat. So if they also have protection of Teclis, they can be some good defensive unit. So yeah, they can distract enemy units. So in such lists, I think these 2 units and Lore Seeker, it's 3 important independent pieces to control board. So that's why I love these units. And I think it's also a good example of synergies from different armies, because actually in this list we have 8 units, but just 4 units from cities. Yeah, 2 units from Lumineth and 2 allied units. So there is just so less than 800 points of cities. Yeah.
A couple of other things I'd call out with the Canine Shadowstalkers. Despite it being 9 models, it's actually 11, 12 wounds, because the hero in the unit actually has 3 wounds. So it's a 12 wound unit that's costing 100 points. The other rule that I love is the rule called Shadow Leap. And what it does is, normally with units like Shadow Warriors, like the Canary, certain units, they often come in from reserve, and they've got to come in before round 4. With your Canine Shadow, and once they're down on the table, they're down on the table. They can't come off again unless they die. With the Canine Shadowstalkers, you deploy them on the table. So they're good to like hold an objective, maybe be a screen, whatever it might be. But then in their movement phase, they don't have to move. Instead, they can teleport anywhere on the board as long as it's outside of 9 inches from an enemy. And you can do that every movement phase. So as the game is changing and you need models in a certain area, often with my Canary or with my Shadow Warriors, I keep them until round 3 or round 4, so I can at least kind of deploy them in the best spot that I could possibly deploy them. With Canine Shadowstalkers, I can do that every turn. And for me, that is such a valuable ability.
Yeah. I think, the last thing about this list, we have 50 points for triumph here. Of course, there is some room for some changes in this list. You can put some additional endless spell, for example, if you wish. But I think triumph is so good for this army, because if you can reroll wound rolls or hit rolls, it's great for your shooting. And if you have reroll safe rolls, and it's great for your Lumineth heroes. Yeah, you can reroll safe rolls for Teclis, and it's great. And you also can reroll safe rolls for Lore Seeker. So 2-up rerollable safe, it's great in some cases. So that's why I choose Triumph here.
And I mentioned earlier that this list is, you can tailor it yourself. A couple of ideas if I was going to manipulate this list is, if I didn't want to bring in Canine Shadowstalkers, I could bring in Shadow Warriors or Canary in a similar role. If I wanted more magical supremacy, but I didn't want to take Teclis, I could bring the Hurricanum, the Luminar, the Battalion. If I wanted more consistency, maybe I'm taking the sorceress on foot with some dread spears to stabby for +2. Like there's so many different ways. If you don't want to take crossbowmen, you could go the traditional Iron Drakes with the bridge, with the Warden King, that probably Tempest Eye uses a lot.
You can also choose handgunners for their ability and for rent. It also works great. And yeah, if we speak about battalion, I think it's interesting to say that Teclis is about 700 points, and whole battalion with all units, it's also about 700 points. So you can choose between these two options.
Yeah. So like if you want to bring in, your own flavor, like you don't have to take the Law Seeker, maybe you want to take in Severeth the Fox, and instead of deploying in the middle of the board, you can use that real crazy speed of Severeth to be moving around the table. So I think and we didn't even bring any Stormcast in. Bring yourself a Knight of Zeros to reroll ones to hit from
it's great
for the crossbowman, right?
For crossbowman, it's great. Yeah, such a great ability.
You could get the Knight Incantor with the Everblaze Comet. Like there's just so many different options you could tap into.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, we didn't mention that Teclis can F-turn bind one enemy spell. Yeah, each turn, and if you add Incantor in this army, you can completely shut off enemy magic in some turn. Yeah,
because it is 100 points. The Everblaze Comet. But and obviously the Knight Incantor has that once per game auto dispel as well. So I guess the point here is that we're just kind of showing you different ways that you could manipulate the list that Philip just showed us, but in your style. Get yourself a Phoenix, get yourself Phoenix Guard, get yourself Iron Drakes, get yourself handgunners. Like there's just so many options. Build it to your taste.
Yeah, and I think we just it's important to say that I think the one this list has great shooting. This list has great magic and magic defense. I think this first list has only one really big issue. So this list has really big problems with good alpha shooting armies like
Carriage
KO, for example. Yeah. So because they just can kill Teclis before you use your protection of Teclis, or they can just kill lots of crossbowmen. Yeah. So this particular type of list, it's difficult to deal with, but if you think that you will play with KO or with other alpha shooting lists, so then you can go to the list number 2. I think.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, one of the big weaknesses here is that you have no battalions, so you are very high drops, and Iron Jaws or Beastclaw Raiders or Sons of Behemat or Carriage and Overlords, someone who can reach you in turn 1, and if I'm lower drops, they could get to you before you get the Teclis spells off, before you can get the bridge off. So you are open to that kind of hit, but that's where maybe you use the K-Knight Shadow Stalkers to create a bubble, and that's maybe where the handgunners then become better, because they shoot. If you end a charge within 3 inches of a handgunner, they shoot before combat starts. So maybe that's one tweak, is you have 1 unit of crossbowmen, 1 unit of handgunners.
Yeah, you still have some tricks here. Yeah, you can use Shadow Stalkers and Lore Seeker and Free Guild Guard to create some space. Yeah.
Again, we're just kind of proving that there is multiple ways to build this list. But speaking of the second list, you said that if you were playing something and you need a little bit more durability, let's look at list 2. List 2 is still Settlers Gain, still set in Hish. But we have no Teclis, which means we have points to spend. And the way we've spent the points is we have an Anointed on foot, not on a Phoenix, on foot. It is the General, it has Strategic Mastermind, and it has the Sayar Trueblade. We have a Battle Mage. The Battle Mage comes from the realm of Hish, with the Shield of Light, and is the Judent along with the artifact of the silver plate wand. We also have, is that the twins? No, who's that? Eleanor. Who's Eleanor, Warden of the Metrica?
Is named hero with mount from Lumineth.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that war scroll.
Named Vanari Lord Regent. Yeah, it's quite rare.
Yes, of course. I have it. Yes, there it is. It's the named Lord Regent. Yes, okay. All right. I'm interested to hear what you talk about with that. Yes, cool. Usain Bolt. I'm looking at what Autumn's saying. Yeah, it's the named Lord Regent. Cool. Curious to see what you do with it, because I've never seen people talk about that. I always go.
Yeah,
they always go the unnamed version, so they could customize it. But you've also got 30 Phoenix Guard. 30 Phoenix Guards. You've got 2 units of 30 Phoenix Guard because you're a filthy man. You've also got 10 free guild guard with swords and shield. They are also the honored retinue. You've got 20 of the Sentinels. You have 9 Shadow Stalkers. And you've also got yourself a Hurricanum. So there's no Battle Mage on the Hurricanum. This is a Hurricanum, not a Hero Hurricanum. Also bringing yourself Geminids. And that's coming in exactly at 2k on the nose. So this is a very different list. We talk about survivability and durability. 1 unit of Phoenix Guard is tough. I know when I played Hallow Heart, it was very rare that I lost my unit of 30 Phoenix Guard, and you got 2 of them. As Davis has said in the chat, that's a whole lot of Phoenix Guard. Talk to me about this list, because I like it. I love running the Anointed with the Phoenix Guard, but you're going to tell me why as well.
Yeah, so I think one of the main reasons for this list, this show, is to my goal is to show you a variety of lists with Settlers game. Yeah, it's completely different list. Yeah, it's not about shooting, but it's about resilience, and it's about some really combat damage. Yeah, and finally, it's list which is very comfortable to play, because you have some battle shock immunity here, you have lots of common points here, and you have some backups here. And let me show how it works. Yeah,
but before you do that, comfortable for you, not comfortable for your opponent. When your opponent sees 2 units of Phoenix Guard at 30 models, they're gonna cry. But please, now tell me about the combinations.
Yeah, so the core is Anointed, of course, with 2 bricks of Phoenix Guards, and they both hammer and anvil. Yeah, so they have 4-up save and 4-up DPI, and they are battle shock immune with your Anointed. So it's very, very tough unit. But also they have a lot of damage in combat, because you can say that they have 2 each range, so and 25 mils base. So all unit can hit. So it's 61 attack, and basic first you can say that it's 61 3-up, but round 1. But you have here Celestial Hurricanum, so you can do it 2-up, 3-up, and then you can spend 1 CP to get reroll wound rolls, and 1 CP to reroll once to hit. And in this case, it will be 2-up rolling once and 3-up rolling everything, round 1, so 61 attack. And
so pause. So Phoenix Guard base war scroll is 2 attacks each, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. Hurricanum gives you +1 to hit.
Yep.
The Anointed command ability allows you to re-roll wound rolls, not of 1. You can re-roll all wound rolls. So this is where I just wanted to call that out, because if someone looked at the Phoenix Guard, they're like, how are you hitting on 2s and re-rolling? Like, where is this all coming from? It's the combination between the Anointed and the Phoenix Guard. In addition, the Hurricanum brings it down to a 2.
Yeah, I love this synergy, because they can do really, really strong damage. And So
consistent. It's consistent damage because you're doing a high volume of attacks with a very low profile, and with Rend 1, there's a really good chance you're going to break through even the toughest armor.
Yeah. So then the question is how you can get so many comment points to reroll everything. So, and I have answer for it. So you have, so first of all, they where they near Anointed, they immune to battle shock. So you don't have to spend your CPs for battle shock. Then second, you have common trait strategic mastermind. So you roll 4-up each at the start of each hero phase to get some additional common point. Then you have your adjutant. So you roll 4-up again for additional common points. And finally, this Lariel, this Warden of Imetrica, this hero, he provides you common point on 2-up. So you roll 4-up, 4-up, and 2-up each at the start of each hero phase. So you have some common points backup here. Yeah, and you know, common points.
Yeah, I was just reading. Yeah, that's interesting. So, the voice of Tyrion, which is off the Warden of Umetrica, right? So if Teclis is not in the army, on a 2+, you get a command point. So this wouldn't work in the other list because Teclis was on the list. But when we remove Teclis and we bring in this Warden of Umetrica on a 2+, you're bringing in a command point. You're doing mortal wounds on a wound roll of 6. You're subtracting 1 to hit against this model, and you get +1 to cast your greater protection of Hish.
Yeah,
although that is that's keyworded to Lumineth, so that's not bad. Okay, I see what you're doing here. I would not have thought about looking at this model. That certainly has not been a high on my priority list.
Yeah, definitely. So in LRL faction, you don't need this hero because you have your shrine for free comment abilities. So you don't need these additional comment points. But in this list, you have very tasty comment abilities. So you need these comment points, and that's why I think he can work here. Cool. So. Then it was about damage from Phoenix Guards. We also can add some resilience here because Battle Mage can cast Protection of Hish with +1. So, and also he has an artifact for additional cast. So he can cast 2 spells. It's an artifact I believe it's the best artifact from this city. So you can cast 2 spells with +1. And you can cast, for example, Protection of Hish, and then you can cast Geminids for additional -1 to hit or -1 attack. And so it's very difficult to destroy your Phoenix Guards here. So
the battle mage spell is -1 to hit on 1 unit. So so you could either have 2 of them, whether it's Geminids and the spell, or you could combine it for a -2 to hit, or I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here. With the K-Knight Shadowstalkers getting -1 to hit in combat, that could be a -3 when you're handling that. That's Gloomspite Git numbers.
Yeah, you can cast it on Shadowstalkers, and they will teleport and and do some work, some job. Yeah, so it's about Phoenix Guards, but we have also other important pieces here. So you can get such Phoenix Guards, for example, in Hammer Hall or in Tempest Eye. So it's nothing unique here for this city, except of this guy with 2-up common points. Definitely. Yeah, but also you have here not only Hammer and Anvil, you have also some, surgery instruments for destroying enemy heroes. Yeah, you have, I'm speaking about 20 Sentinels. So we can remind that they can shoot 30 inches. They can move 6 and shoot 30, so it's really long range. They can ignore line of sight. Yeah, it's one of the most important thing about these guys. And also they only have one attack each, and leader has no attacks, so it's just 19 attacks, but it's 30-inch range, and each 6 to hit is a mortal wound. And if you cast their own spell, which is Power of Hish, so it's a 5-up mortal wound. So if you have 19 attacks with 5-up mortal wounds, your average is 6 mortal wounds. 6 mortals. And it's exactly what you need to kill some small support hero. So you can destroy enemy synergies with this unit. But usually you have some problems with casting. You may have some problems with casting this spell outside Lumineth's builds, because they have no pluses to cast. So casting value of 6, you can fail, but you can backup here because if they fail, so then this Warden of Emetrica, this named hero, he can cast for them this spell with +1. So basically, you have your reroll with +1 to cast this spell, and it's quite consistent.
I love it. And one thing I wanted to talk about with this Warden of Emetrica that I really liked was the Demon Blade, the weapon that's on him. And it does a flat 3 damage instead of D3 on the Demon Blade. And the Demon Blade is both a missile weapon and a combat weapon. So with so much chaos in the meta, that's a cheeky little addition, as well as the magic, the consistency to the Sentinels that I really liked. And if you don't want Sentinels, you could flip them out to be, ignore what I was about to say there. But there's some really cool things coming out of that. And I like the fallback for the Sentinels by having the greater power of Hish off the Warden of Emetrica. So, and just doing straight mortal wounds, or you've got the sheer weight of dice coming from the Phoenix Guard with Rend 1. So you've got tools. You're fighting up against you fight Nighthaunt. Cool. Let's use. Even both of them would work really well. But if there's an army that you really need mortal wounds, you got your Sentinels to handle.
For example, IDK. You need some mortal wounds against these defensive ills. And you get this point. You have some massive damage Rend 1, and you have some mortal wound shooting to destroy some important pieces of enemy armies. And we also may remember that Celestial Hurricanum itself.
I was gonna make sure we didn't forget about that.
So it provides +1 to hit, not only for Phoenix Guards, but for all your units, for Sentinels too, because they gain Cities of Sigmar keyword, and also it provides you some mortal wounds for enemy units within 18, and also he provides you additional +1 for your Battle Mage. So if your Battle Mage is near your Celestial Hurricanum, casts 2 spells with +2 each. So for example, Geminids and Protection of Hish, and it's quite consistent, and so you have some spells, you have some mortal wounds, and you have some combat output, so you have different tools. I think it's very, very important. And also, if we speak about Battle Mage, you also have some spell from this book, which is Shield of Light. I don't think that it's your main spell, but sometimes if you have free time for it, you can cast this spell, and it's just 6-up after save. So you can cast it for your Hurricanum, for example, or for your Sentinels to provide them additional resilience.
Just to call out that the artifact, the Silver Plate Wand, is allowing the Battle Mage to cast 2 spells. So the Battle Mage normally only casts 1 spell, but with that artifact, it gives them an additional spell cast, which is where the double cast from. The spell lore for Settlers Gain isn't that great. Like, Illuminate's okay, but it's only got a short distance of 12 inches. So it's very situational. super situational. And Drain Magic is not bad. Again, it's a 12-incher, but subtracting 2 to the casting, dispelling, and unbinding for an opponent could be interesting. But again, it's 12 inches, so you probably there's not really a wizard, like a super durable wizard, that I'd want it within 12. Everything that Teclis is doing is quite far away. And even if I was using like the Umbral Spell Portal, I'm not putting Drain Magic through it.
Yeah. And yeah, normally this is one cast hero with no bonuses, but in this city it's 2 cast hero with +2 to cast, so for 110 points. So I think it's quite a good tool. And I think the next important thing about this list is about heroes. If you look at this list of heroes first time, you may think that you can quite only small heroes will not too many wounds, and you can think that it's easy to kill these heroes and destroy this army. But some of them are surprisingly tough. So first of all, Anointed. So he has 4-up save. He has, of course, lookouts here against shooting, and he has 4-up after save, and also he has his Honored Retinue. So for example, if you go with 12 mortal wounds for him, for this small hero, so 6 of them to Honored Retinue, and 3 of them are for his damage prevention. It's just 3 wounds, so he's still on the battlefield. So it's quite difficult to kill this guy. And then if we speak about this Warden of Emetrica, this named hero, he has naturally -1 to hit, and he also has lookout, because small hero. So if you want to kill him, so you're welcome. So -2 to hit in shooting, -2 to hit, and 3-up save, and in cover 2-up save. You need some good damage to destroy all these heroes.
And I want to add one more thing about the Anointed that we haven't spoken about, because in my Hallow Heart, this was an underrated ability, and that is the Blessing of the Earth Phoenix. And what that allows you to do is that the Anointed, even though the Anointed is not a wizard, it allows you to dispel an endless spell and unbind an endless spell as well. Now, what makes that powerful is I can do that because normally when you want to unbind an endless spell, you want to get rid of it off the table, you would have to do that at the start of the hero phase. With this, I could dispel or get rid of an endless spell. I could dispel it. Let's say Geminids is on the table and I want to recast Geminids somewhere else. Or maybe let's say I got given second. I moved Predatory's endless spell for Geminids. I could use my Anointed to get rid of Geminids in my turn and then recast it with the Battle Mage. And being the Battle Mage being a double caster, it could still use the Hish spell and recast Geminids. Without that, I'd be trading off one of my spell casts. So it sounds situational, but it really allows you to make the most of those Geminids. Or it could get rid of an endless spell that's been annoying you and still keep your casting potential.
Yeah, a good point. It's these 3 unbind. Sometimes it's very, very useful.
Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted that, you would go the Rune Lord, who gets +2 to that. But like, it's a free ability, in addition to the Battle Shock immunity, in addition to just the 4-up damage prevention. Like, the Anointed is just such good value for 100. It's a super durable 5-wound hero.
Yeah, and it's difficult for your opponent to keep in mind all these options. You can, if you want to go to strong heroes, you can sacrifice maybe some units, for example, Celestial Hurricanum, and in this case you can go to Anointed on Frostheart, and in this case you can add So -1 to hit and -1 to wound from Anointed also may work.
And again, very similar to the last list, there's so many things you could do to reduce or manipulate this list. Some people might say a unit of 30 Phoenix Guard is overkill. You do get the discount for getting to 30. But in my experience, even a unit of 20 is super durable. You might get yourself the Emerald Life Swarm, and that can bring up to D6 of those Phoenix Guard back. So you're always keeping them alive. And for 40 points, the Emerald Life Swarm is just great. Again, depending on kind of where you want to build, there's just so many options from the different armies, whether it's, again, Sethereth, the Celestant Prime, bringing in other allies. There's just like so much list tech, but it's interesting to see how you've kind of built two different builds, whether it's either focus on Teclis or not Teclis. We didn't even bring a Cathalar in. Cathalar would be awesome for that second list with the Phoenix Guard, because then you're shutting down your opponent as you've got this super durable force moving up.
Yeah, and you can use empowered spell portals for Cathalar, and in some matchups, it's really game changer. Yeah.
Well, there's one of the problems, right? In Lumineth, they don't get empowered endless spells.
Yeah.
So the range of the Umbral spell portal's not that good. But in cities, with the Cathalar,
yeah, exactly. And maybe if you need some strong magic, and if you wish to invest in Cathalar, you can also bring these Hessian Twinstones to get some pluses to cast. Hessian Twinstone, it's endless spell which gives plus bonuses to cast for Lumineth units, but it's important that you can add these bonuses using spells from other friendly casters. Yeah, so you have so many options here. So yeah, you can't cover all of them in one show.
Like if you think about just cities, Stormcast, and Lumineth, who would all gain the keywords of Settlers Gain and Cities, you've got about 180, almost 200 unit choices. You're probably a fair whack, and then your allies, right? Oh, actually, no. Lumineth's not that large, but you probably 150 units to choose from, and there's probably combinations within, the Knight Incantor. Even the Heraldor would come in really nicely. If you wanted to go down the magic route, you've got Evocators, you've got more magic from your, what's it called? Those
Duardines may be great also. Because they have very good save, like 3-up. Yeah, and if you have 3-up and then 5-up, so you have really, really resilient army.
Another good point as well, like I was talking about this with my Lumineth shows, is the Sanctum. The Sanctum endless spell is really good, and it just increases the base quite significantly as well. There's just so many cool. I think the key to this is to find a core and then build around it. For me, being a free guild player, I wanted to build around the free guild keyword. So I thought about the Luminar, I thought about the battalion, I thought about having durable greatswords, having durable free guild guard, and then all the synergies start coming together, whether it's the free guild general on foot, whether it's the crossbowmen, the handgunners, it all kind of comes about. In what you've done is you've tapped into the elves, right? So you've gotten yourself the Phoenix Guard. One of the challenges with your second list, when I bring it back up, is it's other than the Shadow Stalkers, it's relatively slow. So you might want to get yourself a Phoenix, as you mentioned, either the Frost or the Flame, to give yourself some speed.
You have some additional speed here because this mounted Lumineth hero, he has 16-inch movement. So at the end of the day, you can go to some objective, and he definitely kill some chaff units to steal objectives. He has some damage, yeah.
But the core of your force is not that fast, I guess, is the key. Is
Definitely.
like, anyway,
Yeah.
One of the things that I love from Stormcast, it's almost like an auto include, is Aether Wings. Like 40 points, movement 12, cheap objective scorers. That could bring some speed and some versatility and some screening to your force.
Yeah, and they bring you some additional value, because if you have more drops, so you can include more Lumineth units. Yeah, you can if you add some birds, you probably can fit 3 Lumineth units, and it provides additional interesting choices.
And that's the challenge, right? Is that when you have an eight unit selection, you're only allowed to have 2 Lumineth. When you go into 12 unit selections, you've got 3. And I know when I was building, even like my Tempest Eye, because 1 in every 4 can be Courage and Overlords, I'd always find my list is around 10 or 11 units. So by finding that 40-point Aether Wing, it allows me to get to that 12, which then means that I can unlock that additional 1 in every 4. So it's a really good point. And as you mentioned earlier, the Lumineth and the Stormcast models are going to gain the Cities of Sigmar keyword, and they gain the Settlers Gain keyword. So the synergies just become off the charts because they gain those keywords in addition to what they've already got on their War Scroll.
Yep.
The choices are endless. I know. I was looking at Severeth. I love the idea of having this super durable force, based around the Luminar, and then Severeth, the
So
flying fox,
and destruction.
destroying people's terrain, bouncing around, being annoying, moving in my opponent's shooting phase.
Definitely. Or you can go with, so if you speak about unique abilities, you can go with Severeth and Celestant Prime, for example. Yeah, you have two heroes which can be in any place, anytime.
So
yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I actually built a list with the Prime and Severeth because I was going to call them like the greatest tag team since the Mega Powers. Because it's a bit hard. Like, it's hard to take the Prime outside of Hammerhall. The Celestant Prime is great. It's a bit of it doesn't do as much damage as you'd think the Prime does, but in Hammerhall you can, double attack with a command point. But having the ability to drop down anywhere on the board, being able to reroll 1 dice, being able to do a whole bunch of abilities. If you find that your army is slow or isn't able to get to certain, like, let's say knife to the heart, sometimes it's really hard to get to that objective right at the back. And if you're like Phoenix Guard, like, pushing forward, they might not get to it in turn 5. That's where your Shadow Stalkers, your Shadow Warriors, your Canary or your Life Takers, something like the Prime dropping down and challenging, especially late game.
Yeah.
So many choices, Philip. So many choices.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's kind of what like Learn, Train, Play said is like, that's the reason that I love Cities of Sigmar, because, your list choices are going to be different between most people, and there's just so many combinations. And if the meta shifts, right, we've got Kragnos coming, we've got, like Kragnos, for example, cool, he might charge me and do a whole bunch of mortal wounds, but those Phoenix Guard will just laugh. They're just like, lol.
Yeah, and then you can shoot with your Sentinels and with your Celestial Hurricane. Yeah.
What have you learnt with playing this army? Because it's an unusual one, because it's not, as we've kind of talked about, it's not as shooty as Tempest Eye. It's not as combat focused as Hammerhall. It's not magic focused as Hallowheart. It's not War Machine focused like Grey Water Fastness. Like, it doesn't have the movement shenanigans as Living City. Like, it's a bit of a, to me, this feels like a utility army. It's the jack of all trades, master of none. What have you found in your time playing with them?
Oh, good question. I think I think it's the maybe the best choice if you want to improve your list building skills, because you have so you can imagine some task, some problem, for example, IDK, or with defense against shooting with good save, or maybe Zinj, and you can think how you can create some solution for this problem using all these different tools. And it may be a very interesting exercise. Of course, I can. This is not too powerful city, so it's difficult to create list which can do anything. But if you understand your meta, if you understand your main challenges at some tournament, you have all tools to create some good answer for these challenges.
Yeah, and I'm just re-looking at the artifacts, and and just immediately I've got two ideas. If I look at the artifacts, there's one called Heartstone, which is when the model is slain for the first time on a 4+, it's not slain and it actually is healed, like it comes back to life. And the Fire Phoenix, for example, will come back to life automatically on a 4+, but the Frost Phoenix doesn't. That's for a way, and the Frost Phoenix is super durable as it is. You could bring that back to life and then build a list around that.
The problem is, that you can't give this artifact to Phoenix, to Anointed, because these
it's Collegiate Arcane. Yeah. My point is that you look at one of these things, you get an idea, and you can build around it. Yes.
Yeah.
I now look at this and I see it says it's Collegiate Arcane, so it's your Hurricanum, your Luminarch. Thanks for ruining my dreams. I'm like, oh man,
you're welcome.
Oh man, Frost Phoenix coming back to life on a 4. All right.
I hope that it will be FAQ that you can give this artifact also for free guild heroes, because I don't know why you need run and charge for Collegiate Arcane heroes. It's very strange. But if you can give this run and charge artifact, for example, for free guild general and Griffin, it may be great.
It is a bit weird, there's a +2 to attack characteristics. Like, no, my mages don't need +2 attacks. My mage doesn't need to run and charge on a 2+. Although there's also the battle mage on Griffin. So maybe the Griffin, but
I'm not sure. But it's interesting.
For the same points cost, I would rather a Hurricanum or a Luminarch instead of the battle mage. There's almost no reason. There's one reason, talking to Matt Campbell in my community, we found some nice little combinations with the battle mage on Griffin in Tempest Eye. But outside of that, it's hard to justify that compared to a Hurricanum or a Luminarch.
Oh, in Tempest Eye, I can guess that it's about Hand of Glory spell, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you're moving your army forward. Yes, it's around Aura of Glory, but outside, because obviously you don't have the Thermal Rider cloak anymore, so it's hard to keep up. But that does.
It's an interesting idea.
Well, I mean, long story short, like it's just there's not a lot of uses for some of these artifacts, so it's a really good point. But other than that, like, is there any other things that you kind of learnt as you've played with this particular build?
Sorry, what's your question again?
No, just with your Settlers game. Like, is there anything else that you've kind of learnt as you've played with this army that maybe you'd want to give advice to someone picking this up for the first time?
I think you can just choose models which you like and build lists around them. For example, if you like Sereth, but you don't want to play Lumineth, so you can find some amazing synergies in this army, Or if you have some narrative reasons to play elves, but not only Lumineth, you can bring together some, for example, Sisters of the Watch or Phoenix Guards with Lumineth units. Yeah, I think it's also a great opportunity.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity for your old High Elf fans to bring in your army and kind of bring it all together. Have your different forces of Teclis. I like it. I'm now. My mind is now just clocking what the Cathalar with an empowered Umbral Spell Portal would look like. And I think it was Learn Trade Play talking as well about the fact that you could get like the Purple Sun. The Lawseeker could cast the Purple Sun, and you're only within 3 inches of an enemy, so you could just so many things you could do with
this. With Cathalar, the interesting thing to add some to your dreams. So Cathalar spells works against enemy bravery. Yeah, so enemies have to take bravery check. But in the cities, you have lots of tools to decrease enemy bravery. Yeah, you have, for example, Celestant Prime. Yeah, you can just bring this hero on the battlefield, and this is -2 to bravery. And and you have a lot of other units to decrease bravery. So you have some. Maybe it's not the strongest list, but you can find some very interesting synergies here with some bravery checks. Yeah.
Perfect example is the Battle Mage on foot. If it's from the realm of Shaiish, the death spell, it's -2 bravery off that. And that's only a casting value of 6. So again, there's a nice little combination there just to reduce bravery without tapping into more endless spells.
Yeah, in this case, it may work even against, death units or demons.
No. I like it. I think there's a lot of stuff in this build, and it's exciting to start seeing it in action. And I'm glad the FAQ's out. Philipp, anything finally you want to say before we kind of bring this home?
I think you told me about your dream. Yeah, my dream is you create your own Settlers Gain list and visit us at Moscow GT. So you are welcome. At the end of September, you are welcome. I will be happy to play with you.
Well, if you're allowed to leave your country, go to Moscow GT. If I was allowed to leave my country and it wasn't about 10 years to get between Australia to Russia, I would love to drink vodka with you and fight some bears and roll Warhammer dice. But Philipp, you have been incredible. I have learned a lot. It was interesting to see some of your ideas because they're certainly different to mine, given that I'm so Free Guild focused. You've brought in a very different build, and I'd love to see what other people are building too. I'm sure there are Dwarden people thinking about how they use this, people who maybe are more like Darkling Coven and how they kind of tap into this. The great thing is you can just bring in all of those cities models and then find something in Lumineth that's going to work for you.
Yep.
Cool. All right, let's bring this home. I'm going to go to bed. You're going to go back to work. I hope you all enjoyed it. Philipp, you are a legend. And if people want to talk more, are you on Twitter at all? I know you're in my Discord. So if you want to chat to Philipp and get some ideas, join the Discord. He is he's always playing TTS and he's always active in the community. Are you on Twitter or any other socials?
Yeah, I have Twitter, Phil Kartaev. It's easy to find. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll edit in the episode description later.
Cool. Thank you for the great conversation.
No, thank you. And until next time, don't forget to, I don't want to say shoot the heroes. Like, just don't forget your triumph. Philipp, you were talking about triumphs. Let's not forget them. Don't forget your triumphs. And I'll see you all in AOS 3 at 3rd edition.
Yeah, see you.
See you guys. I hope you found that discussion valuable. If you did, give the video the old thumbs up. And if you have a comment or an insight, leave it in the comment section below. The champions over here are my AOS Coach Patreons and YouTube members. So you guys are bloody legends. Thank you for all the support. If you want to know more about the support programs, The links are below down here in the episode description, along with a link to the Discord server, so we can continue this conversation. Until next time, don't forget to name your characters and have a good one.